Welcome to Screen It or Stream It,
where we take a look at a movie that's in theaters now
versus one you can stream at home,
and we try to decide which one should you go with.
This week on Screen It or Stream It, we checked out The Hitman's Bodyguard.
Yes, fantastic. So, the gist of this story, very sordid tale. We have an evil warlord played expertly by Gary Oldman. Evil.
That man, like every movie he's in, he has a different accent. I don't know how he does it, but I buy it every time.
He's a good guy, he's a bad guy, he's a good guy, I don't know.
Right.
In this one, he was all evil all the time. It was great. And basically, he is on trial for being an evil warlord, the world trial, like Interpol stuff. Anyway, so they keep trying to get witnesses against him, and they keep getting murdered mysteriously or having accidents.
No idea.
No idea. So what happens is they get a hitman played by Samuel L. Jackson, love, and they offer him a deal, which isn't that great for him, but he says, I'll do it, sure. So he's going to testify, making him a witness and a target. So as they set all their security on him and send him toward the trial, things go horribly wrong, total disaster, and then, fearing corruption, a bodyguard is brought in to protect the hitman, who is not related to the police forces.
Right, they think there's something fishy with the police.
That it might have been compromised, so they don't want to trust their own people. So you've got a hitman and a bodyguard who are both really, really good at killing people, and they're being hunted. So a lot of hilarity, and not to mention violence ensues.
And we like violence.
So that's the gist of the story, and what are we going to rate this one?
All right, we give this one 4 stars.
Alright, so we've got hitmen, we've got warlords, we've got guns. We've got bullets flying, blood spraying, bombs going off.
Boat chases, car chases.
Oh my gosh!
Explosions.
This movie is just
armored cars.
It's wonderful.
Handcuffs.
Yes!
Ryan Reynolds being thrown through a windshield.
That was delightful, yes.
He didn't wear his seatbelt. But, so, thinking about this movie, you got 2 guys who should be polar opposites, or they are polar opposites in their outlook. Samuel L. Jackson is kind of a happy-go-lucky hitman.
Yeah,
he's all about killing people but having fun doing it. And Ryan Reynolds is a bodyguard, but he's a very uptight.
So he's neurotically just, must have the plan, all things considered. And
then Samuel L. Jackson is just go with the flow.
Go with the flow.
So you get the odd couple type thing going on, but it's really weird because it's such a super violent odd couple thing going on.
It walks a really weird line between just total violence and comedy that rare that I see that done that well.
And there was some they were great, and I want to talk more about them in a second.
They had perfect chemistry to play those roles.
But you had Selma Hayek was Samuel L. Jackson's wife, and she has been imprisoned basically to get to him, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And she's great. She's hilarious. I don't think I would ever call her she's not. I don't see her winning an Oscar anytime, Best Actress Oscar anytime soon. But that role that they gave her, she did that very well. She fit that.
Oh,
it was great. She was mean and feisty, and it was fun. The cellmate, she's in they put her somewhere like Sweden or somewhere like that.
And Swedish prison. So she has a cellmate with her who. Poor girl standing in the corner the whole time.
Yeah, Selma Hayek makes her stand in the corner the entire time and not look at her. I don't think the Swedish prisoners are quite up to the standard of violence and horrific things that these people do. But she was really good. You talked about Gary Oldman being the ruthless dictator.
Yes.
He does that really well.
A little too well. He first got my attention, I guess, in Air Force One, probably, just as being able to be that just horrible, horrible person with such conviction, too. It's impressive.
But he does that well. And then you have the girlfriend. I have no idea what her name is. I always like to be prepared.
I don't remember her name. I remember she was in...
She was in Daredevil.
That
she was
one,
Elektra.
yes.
Yeah.
Elektra from Daredevil.
Not the Ben Affleck one, because that was Jennifer. What's her name? No, the new Daredevil.
Which is available on Netflix.
But no, she did a pretty good job at that. But really, this movie is about Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds.
Pretty much put them in the car, roll the camera, and let the violent shenanigans ensue. And it just...
And, like, we give it 4 stars. There were some problems with the film. There was a couple of CGI things that I didn't know why. At one point, I remember there was an explosion, and there was a flaming tire that went across the screen. It was very obviously a computer-generated flaming tire, and I was like, "What? Like, would it have been so hard to light a tire on fire and throw it past the screen type thing?"
You wouldn't think so. I forgot that one. I guess
it was at the beginning, and there was a couple little things like that were just like, why do we even need that in there? Some of the plot points are ridiculous and silly, but it's that type of movie. Like, you have to understand.
To me,
that,
the levity more than made up for all of that. I didn't even question stuff just because
right, you don't take anything seriously. No. You know, you can't with Samuel L. Jackson. Some of the car chases and things kind of defied what was physically possible and things.
But they made it look cool, and so you just go with it. But mostly, well, there was that one big car scene. I think they were in like a Ford Fiesta or something. That one I was thinking, I know there's no way in real life, but that's awesome.
But the real, like, where the movie works and the power of this movie is Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds. And they are being Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds as we've always seen them. They're wisecracking, and you get that like Deadpool-y version of Ryan Reynolds, and you get the pretty much every movie he's ever been in version of Samuel L. Jackson.
Snakes on a Plane.
There you go. But he's foul-mouthed, loud-mouthed, boisterous, and just doing his thing, and Ryan Reynolds is just doing his thing, and then you put them together, and then, like I said, you give them opposite personalities so that they clash at every turn. And they are literally opposites in every single way, except for their, I don't want to say like assassin abilities, but they're fighting abilities.
Yeah,
they're
good in combat.
Very well.
For lack of a better way to put that. Good in a firefight, sure.
Good at killing people.
They're very good at killing people.
But it's funny, they have a lot of, not necessarily contrast, but they have a lot of opportunities for them to try to one-up each other. And a lot of times, we get it kind of twisted around. One will think he one-upped the other one, and when really he didn't, because they're so much alike. The other one already knows what he's going to do, because that's what he would have done. And that was really funny.
Yeah, trying to get the better of each other all the time. Because the Hitman didn't really like having a bodyguard, and he just said, "No, y'all just let me go. Give me a gun. I'll be fine."
Which I was a little confused at the first as to why Samuel L. Jackson would be, because he's perfectly fine. At the start of the movie, they, like you said, they make him a deal. The police make him a deal. The deal's not that good, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll take it." And no one thinks he will. They're all like, "You will?"
Yeah.
And he agrees to take it. He agrees to go, and he's like, "I'll go anyways. You don't have to protect me. I will go there. I will testify." And he actually has a pretty neat character arc.
He does.
Like, we learn more and more and more about him, and it changes and changes and changes, and so we get more backstory. Ryan Reynolds doesn't really. He's not so much character arc as kind of a character flat. Like he learns at the end.
Yes, he does learn and grow a little, but it's mostly he's kind of a victim of his own neurosis a little bit, because he just cannot. But and some of those twists are just
everybody tries to get him to loosen up. The girlfriend, who shall probably henceforth be Elektra. Elektra tries to get him to loosen up. Samuel L. Jackson tries to get him to loosen up. Everybody's like, just have a little fun, relax for a minute.
It's like, no, the plan.
But because Samuel L. Jackson was so, hey man, just go with it. It is what it is. And he was so, no, it must be done. We got to schedule it.
The nuns.
Oh yeah. Which you can see that. I mean, you see part of that in the
trailer.
It
was just so funny because, again, Samuel L. Jackson, totally just weird situation to happen, and he just rolls with it. He's cool with it. He's having a good time. So
Samuel L. Jackson's entire life has been murdering people.
Yeah. He
is like this horrible evil man. And then you've got Ryan Reynolds, whose entire life has been trying to save people from horrible people, and nothing is going right and everything's kind of crashing down, and Samuel L. Jackson's still just kind of go with it, man. And Ryan Reynolds is freaking out. So by the time they meet the nuns, Ryan Reynolds is uptight, and the nuns end up hating him and loving Samuel L. Jackson.
And it was perfect.
Which is great. Because they have no idea. It's just a nice man on the bus.
They don't know either of them from anybody, and just oh man, it was just such a fun movie.
It's definitely a popcorn movie.
Oh, absolutely. There are little, I guess, moral messages, themes that you got going, but mostly it's just fun.
And like I said, it's not so much about the story, not so much about character development, although there was some decent character.
And the story was all right. I mean, it's okay.
all about those two guys.
But it's about those two guys, and it is just so much fun. It's just a fun movie.
It's kind of like a Saturday Night Live episode or something. You know, you get these characters, and they're really fun. They're really neat together.
Yeah.
And that's enough. That's good enough. It's not one. I know we gave it 4 stars, but it's not one like. I would not be rushing back to the theater to see it again. If it came on TV,
I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
I'll probably put it on my shelf just because when the hankering hits and I want to watch it, I want to have it because I'll watch it again for sure. It's just a fun ride.
In fairness, I am biased and will watch anything Samuel L. Jackson is in. I tried to watch pretty much everything that comes out. I'll watch Snakes on a Plane. So.
It's such a terrible movie, but Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Why not?
But everything he does is just fun. I really enjoy the stuff he does, and same thing here. I wasn't disappointed. Like you go in knowing what to expect.
Yeah.
If you went in expecting, this grand masterpiece of crime drama, you would probably be disappointed.
Yeah.
But I don't think you look at Ryan Reynolds and Sam Jackson and say that.
And I have to say, the trailers really nailed this one. They let me know exactly what to expect, and they didn't give me all the funniest parts. They give us a couple of them, but they really delivered. There were plenty of surprises still in the movie, and it was just so much fun. They really did a good job promoting this one as far as what to expect. They did it justice. So. Good movie.
Yeah.
If you don't want to watch the theaters right now, if you don't feel like going out, what do you got for a streaming option?
All right, so my streaming option is Snatch. And
ooh,
yeah.
Yes.
So you get it's Guy Ritchie. It's he did Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. He did Snatch, and they get a very similar feel. But Snatch is by far my favorite.
Oh yes.
It is again super violent. We like violence. Super violent. It is funny and quirky and these crazy characters, and you get very, very much that sense of Hitman's Bodyguard feel with all the craziness and the violence and the funny characters. But I will say Snatch had probably a better story, and
it was really intricate. I was surprised by just trying to keep track of. There were like 4 or 5 storylines kind of coming together and going through each other.
And I love that.
It worked so well. Amazingly well. Great movie.
It's a British crime movie. Lots of that violence and comedy and
dags. Lots of dags.
Brad Pitt is a gypsy that can barely speak English.
Man.
And, it's good. It's really violent. Definitely not for the kids. But hey, if you were thinking about Hitman's Bodyguard, that's not for the kids either.
Also not for the kids. Not super crude. Like if you've seen Deadpool, that one's also very crude. The violence is kind of close to on par probably, but the humor is more in their lots of bad language and violence in Hitman's Bodyguard.
So there's going to be lots of bad language.
Yeah. Well, I picked a streaming option, which I don't feel as good about now because Snatch is a really good choice. But I am going with Tango and Cash. You got Sylvester Stallone. You've got Kurt Russell. And the gist of that one, I think one's a police officer, one's a private investigator or something like that. And they kind of hated each other. But in the midst of trying to bust this really big crime ring, and I forget powerful people were involved, they end up getting framed for a murder. And so they end up having to go dark off the grid and teaming up, and their kind of hatred of each other really fuels a lot of funny moments. I don't think it's quite as lighthearted. Oddly enough, Hitman's Bodyguard's not exactly lighthearted, but it is.
I think it's lighthearted. I can call it lighthearted.
Lighthearted violence. What are you going to do? And of course, in Tango and Cash, kind of a similar there's that similar dynamic of the main two characters that are working together, being hunted by just about everybody, and trying to exonerate themselves and bring down the bad guys at the same time. So there's kind of that similar feel there.
So when you came in today and you said you knew what your pick was going to be,
Yeah.
I thought I knew what your pick was going to be.
Oh,
and
what'd
I
you think
wrong.
it was going to be?
So I thought you were going to pick Beverly Hills Cop.
That would have been a good pick.
Because you've got, again, the violence stuff, and you got Axel Foley. Eddie Murphy is Axel Foley, and he's very just like, chill out, guys. And the Beverly Hills Police Department, they're all like, this must be done this way.
Yeah.
I thought that would be a good one. But
Well, and I'd also thought of Deadpool, because Ryan Reynolds, and very similar, just a bit crude, and it didn't have that dynamic of main characters really playing off each other so much. And I'd also thought of John Wick a little, just for the violence, but that one's not really funny.
Yeah.
Unless you think people getting shot in the face is funny. But anyway, that's really all our time for today. Thanks for watching Screen It or Stream It.
And remember, don't take your kids to the movies on Tuesday nights, because that's when we go.